All right, looks like we're live here at the Jeep Life podcast.
Wow.
And I
Is it real or is it Memorex?
I think it's real. It could be.
I
Well,
believe
it's
we're real.
going. It is. It is Legitski.
I haven't seen anybody pop up yet.
Hmm. It says we're on the air. You're broadcasting.
Woohoo! That's something.
Uh,
Hello, Sean. Welcome to the show. I mean, Sean beat Mike by a long shot.
wow.
Well, right now, Sean, we're just getting on and getting our bearings. We're also giving people a chance to log in.
To find us again.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
My bad.
It's life.
I'm getting all my screens up and stuff.
There you go.
We need like a dashboard.
Well, no, I just need to set up an office instead of sitting.
In your living room?
At the dining room table.
No, not at the dining room table,
But close enough.
Well, you don't work from home anymore.
no. I go to an office every day.
Yeah,
A real job.
that changes
Yeah.
things.
I like it a lot, but
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah, it gets there.
Yeah.
I can't believe Mike isn't on yet.
Well, we're up to 4. And
Everyone's
3 of them
refinding
are
us.
us. No, it doesn't count us when we're watching it.
Maybe if I share it out.
Yeah, maybe if I do too.
Share it out. Share it out.
Or we'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get rolling. We won't wait as
Push the
long as we
button.
normally do. Hey, I'm going to unplug my headphones and see if we get weird echoes.
Have at it.
Anything? What do you think?
Well, he's got to talk. I don't hear echoes from myself.
And also, maybe he needs to change his audio over.
That's right.
Actually, I don't get anything.
Well, we're hearing you.
Oh, hold on. Let's do this. See if this works. All right.
We hear you,
And I hear you.
but does
I have an
that
echo from Billy.
create an echo?
Oh, now I got an echo.
Yep,
Yep.
there's an echo.
Yep, it's
It's the
Pulling from my
delay
s-
between the mic and the speakers.
Yep. I was just seeing if I could do that, and the answer is
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's very un-echo friendly.
Yeah. But when I hear myself back, it's not good. It was kind of delayed. So can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Sean, can you hear me all right? You're my guinea pig.
Well, supposedly we're up to 7.
Oh, there's Gonzalez.
He was not the first on.
There he
It took
is.
us
There he is.
5 weeks of skipping this and moving the time around
Yeah,
and some false starts to throw him.
yeah. But we finally threw him. That was our goal
Threw
all
him
along.
like we threw him like the Eagles threw KC.
Too
No,
soon?
that was just a murder fest.
Not
Yeah.
too soon.
All right. We've got
The
good
button.
people here, so let's go ahead
Push
and
the button.
pushing the button. All right.
Push the button.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Jeep Life Podcast. We are that podcast that loves the Jeep Life and shares it everywhere that we can. Tonight's episode is being brought to you by the great people at Globex Performance and GBX Manufacturing, the Jersey Shore's Jeep and 4x4 experts. I asked them for copy, and so they get whatever I make up. We'll talk a little bit more about them, but man, I love those guys. They're really great. The whole team is just fantastic. Mike and Mike, the owners, Glenn and Thomas, and everybody out in the shop. They're just good people. And I'm Jeep and Terry, and with me tonight, I've got on your screen. From wherever they are, I have no idea. I have Break It
The
Billy
center of the earth.
and Jetty Jason.
What's going on?
Man, it's been a hot minute.
Oh, a hot several minutes. It's like a hot hour.
Oh my god! I've missed this, and I'm still
know.
kind of missing it because I can't, wrap my hand
Can't reach
around.
out. I can't touch you now. Are you
Thank
real?
goodness. Thank goodness. I've been waiting for this moment.
Oh gosh. I just hope Terry has pants on.
There were
There's
no
guarantee of that.
no
I mean,
pants required. No pants required.
I
I
am
said-
not admitting. Like I know this is different and new for us. I know people post COVID changed a lot with like, do they work in an office? Billy, you're back in an office.
Yeah.
I still work at home. This is my native habitat all day long. You have no guarantee whether I have pants on.
This is just weird. I mean, but it's the new normal.
It's working. It's the new
It is
normal
working.
right now.
At this
It is,
point.
and we've done this format for years with our guests that we've had on, and basically Bill and I don't live a mile away from each other anymore. So it's
It's more like 25 miles away from each other.
yeah,
25 miles in 40 minutes, give or take.
Yeah, seriously.
yeah. I miss that. We're still. One of our listeners jumped on here and let us know that our mics are not, our levels aren't exact. That'll come with a little bit of time, so be patient with us as we try to figure it out. I'm with Mike's micro studio setup, and so we're comparing apples and oranges, and we'll get it worked out. but the
working on it.
content will still be there.
Should be. But I
Yeah.
mean, a lot has changed. So yeah, as kind of walking into it, let's go into some catch up and what's going on with you guys. Where's your Jeep life at, and where's it taking you since we've last been on?
I'm gonna clean up.
You have had some experience.
I'm gonna clean up on this one. So let's get
You're
you
on the
guys
sweeper
out there.
mode.
Yeah, I'm in the sweeper mode.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think I got
kick
a
it
whole
off, 'cause
slew of issues.
You want?
So
Do you have?
Jason,
Do you have a bunch of
start
good
out.
stuff?
Yeah, I got a bunch of good stuff.
Oh man, then I'll lead off because I don't have a lot of excitement to warm this up. For me, I think it's been waiting for the season to kind of kick back in. I've seen some friends out over the winter season in terms of Jeep life, some trail time, seat time. Kind of can't wait till sort of that April kind of time frame comes around. That's sort of when I get the itch. I'm kind of still in that ski mode, snow mode. I'm not quite back in the off road mode. Um, Maintenance, man. Anybody that's got a Jeep already knows. You got four of them. You really know.
Yeah.
I got one that's got a rocker tick. That's no fun. I'm
Oh.
like, oh man, not another thing. But yeah, it's other than that, it's been just taking life and getting things done and hoping to have everything ready to get up and running in the springtime. Hang out with some fellow Jeep lifers.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Seriously. Yeah, I could use some trail time.
For real. All right, Bill, what's going on in your life, man?
Oh, geez. So, yeah, I think the last we left off, I was
Where do we
moving.
begin?
Yeah.
So moving happened, and also the JK is officially blown up and has some serious issues going on in that motor. So cylinder 3 is toast. I borescoped the cylinder, and it has a whole bunch of scratches down the sidewall.
Mm.
And 60 psi of pressure out of the normal 120 to 150 psi it should have for compression.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, no. So needless to say, it's burning a whole bunch of oil, has a whole bunch of blow by to the point that like there's oil in the air filter intake
Ooh.
air box. Like there is a puddle of oil in the air box.
That ain't right.
No. So kind of evaluating all that, trying to figure out what to do there. Somewhat landing on a new motor or something of the sort. So kind of seeing where things take me with that. It's currently in the garage with the hood up, and things are starting to somewhat be worked on. But yeah, so new shop.
Oh, right. New garage.
With no
New
post in
garage.
the middle.
No post.
No annoying post in the middle.
What am I going to
there's
lean
a lot
on?
nothing to lean on. But a lot of space and room for activities and projects and all kinds of fun YouTube content. So we'll see how much we get back to there. Currently, there is Wi-Fi out in the garage as well, so we might be
there you go.
new backdrop depending on how
Yeah.
things work out. And yeah, so and then some good friend of the podcast, Mr. Jamie, commented, why is the buggy for sale? And that's kind of the other part of said things is Reaper is for sale. So if you'd like to own a piece of Jeep Life podcast history,
There you go.
for
The
a
bidding
good
opens
amount of money.
at roughly
What?
20 grand.
Yeah. So reach out to me and could be yours. So yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this. As I was with you when you bought it.
Yeah.
I mean, brought it across state lines together. That's
Uh-huh.
that's
It's it's to free up space, and also free up time and project funds for
For the
one
JK.
Jeep. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
So
Yeah. Big Red is
one
staying in the.
one perfectly good running Jeep is better than two Jeeps that need a lot of work.
Well, it's still going to be one Jeep that needs a lot of work, but
Wow.
Yeah, well.
yeah. But
But now it gets a bigger motor.
well, yes, and we're going to see how that all translates. I mean, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe an LS, or maybe rebuilding the motor currently, doing a full rebuild.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens.
All right. Speaking of almost full rebuilds, so my Jeep was in the shop for a while. I had it at Globex, and the fine folks there really kind of took care of me, and a couple other manufacturers. I can't believe. But I've got a Rock Crawler 3.5 Adventure X series lift on there. It really, I think it's netting about 4.5. But as it settles in, I think because it's way taller than it was before it went in with the 3.5. But I think it'll
You're gonna
settle in
need
a little bit.
taller shoes.
Yeah, I need a ladder to get in. But we did put GBX Manufacturing control arms all around, upper and lower adjustable control arms, and they're in that kind of raw aluminum look, so they look just outstanding. Can't wait to mash those against some rocks. We put Globex adjuster tubes on the front steering, drag link tie rods, and Steer Smart Yeti XD ends. So the steering right now, the weakest link is my box. So we'll see if I can upgrade the steering box at some point, because it's still the OEM, and it's one of those things. Do I fix?
Nobody wants a loose box.
Do I repair it before I break it, or wait until I break it? And so maybe this summer that might be a project.
So I don't think you're going to necessarily break the box. I think you're just going to wear it out.
Yeah, and we'll wait for that time to come, I guess. We'll see. We did get under there, and Dr. Don noticed. Well, he kind of fixed it before I'd worn my shock bracket on the axle side. I'd worn it down just. Well, actually, I'm blaming all the rocks that I drag it across. But we did go with Evo Rockstar skids for control arms and the shock relocation, and those things are beefy. And then wheel bearings all around, and Dynatrac ball joints. So, man, it drives like a dream. A dream on a 3.5-inch lift with 37s. It's not good.
You got to constrain the expectation.
I know, right? And in the windy conditions, like the past couple of days, it's been, even magnified.
Hey, this really drives great.
Yeah, full steering wheel turned at the 45. It's kind of like Oklahoma. But I did take vacation and went to the magical land of Disney and drove. And it was, it's always spend the money versus the time of flying versus driving. I'm like, let's break this Jeep in. 3/4 of the way down, radiator springs a leak, and I nurse it to Orlando, get it down there, and searching for the right place. I had so many people in the industry, try to help out, but I ended up getting it fixed there in Orlando. New radiator, the whole 9 yards with that. Everything was good, I thought. We're getting good temperatures when I took it back to the resort, and driving around the Orlando area. It was warm, so mid 80s, and temperatures were good. On the way back home,
No.
yeah, about 2 hours away, I just started seeing the needle creep
Mm.
creep up, and I literally, you know, I gunned it to get around this car so I could get, take an exit that I needed to, and oh yeah, it popped right on over, and throw the light on there, and I'm like, ah, get out, and sure enough, just coolant just flooding out. A different place from the leak. So at least I knew it wasn't the radiator. I look up, and it's the lower radiator hose. It's 9:30 or 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. I limp to a hotel a mile away and start the process of trying to find a place on a Sunday that would be open, to get it. But ended up getting it fixed on Sunday. Just, it was, by the time I got it back, it was 8 or 9 hours into the day, and lost almost a full day of driving. But lower radiator hose replaced and back up and running, and I'm running lower temperatures than I ran in probably 2 years, and I bet that there was a pinhole leak in that radiator hose to begin with, and just finally it met its match.
You think this getting it disturbed, putting the new radiator in, probably pissed it off?
I mean, certainly could. Anytime you take a hose on and off, you're putting pressure on it, and it could have been, it's who knows, who knows if the original mechanic could have seen it, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's just frustrating to get 2 hours back into the drive home, of a 15, 16 hour drive, and blow a hose out. It kind of sucked.
Takes your
But
wind right out of the sails.
yeah,
Figuratively and literally.
right.
Seriously.
But other than that, it the Jeep handled great. I mean, it's a little loud, but it's no louder than it was before, and at least now I don't have to worry about all the death wobble that I had before Globex took care of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all right, that seemed like a really long story, and I but a lot was done.
You,
And
you made up for my lack of wobbles and woes.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've been fighting, some form of death wobble for, like 6 months, and to be able to kind of finally put that to bed, and it's dead and it's good, and I can't wait to get it out on the trail and see how the new lift, how it flexes. I'm sure that it's monumentally different than what I had before.
I bet. Be
Now,
interesting to see.
yeah, it would. So let's get out there. Let's get winter over with.
Don't have far to go, although this next week is going to give us, at least it looks like we're going to avoid the superstorm of the century here that they were talking about 3 days ago.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'm done with all that. I'm the guy who used to go out and love being out in the snow and helping people and all that stuff. I'm done. I don't want to
Now
shovel
you're the guy
another
who's got to shovel
snowflake.
it. Yeah, right.
I don't want not one more snowflake.
I had some pretty good fun in the one snowstorm we had. What was that? 2 weeks ago or something? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And
Got
your
the buggy
neighbors
out.
at your neighbor's
Yeah.
house. Yeah, that looked like
Yeah, it was
fun.
fun.
Yeah, I think you said. I remember you saying.
Matter of fact, in
Yeah.
that snowstorm, I went over to Wawa just to see if you were there, and
Yeah, I'm not in the
That's different
area
Wawa
anymore.
now,
No.
Terry.
I don't know.
We don't even have Wawa in these parts.
Yeah, now he's like, oh, I'm into sheets. It's like, what?
We got
No, right?
sheets.
You
Yeah.
can't do that.
No, that's the wrong way for sheets, isn't it?
No, it's sheets.
Oh,
They're
dear.
encroaching. They're encroaching to the east
Yeah.
Wawa's fighting to the west. It's really wild.
All right, tune into the Jeep Life podcast when we have all the Wawa and Sheets updates for you.
That's
Where's
correct.
the next one going to be released next
We
year?
are at the local Wawa.
It does seem like a good.
2086.
It's a good segment for us to run with.
That's right. We're going to interview all the Jeep owners here at the Wawa tonight.
I know we don't have our calendar filled out for the year.
Oh, jeez.
It's, but at work I'm going through and I'm doing all my calendar stuff. I'm gone the entire month of April. I leave on the 3rd and I get back on the 27th or 28th.
Oh, wow.
That's not favorable for at least one of our outings.
Right. So I'm going to miss the club off-road weekend, which is always, a favorite. But
That's our main weekend, Terry. You can't do these things.
I know I'll be substituting it with Moab though. So
Wow,
Crimea
good
River.
for you. I'm going to Moab.
Crimea River.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would have my druthers. I'm still probably going to go to Moab, but I love our weekends because we
do.
We get out and we
Special
do our
time.
Yeah, we
There's
get
Monkey Butler.
There hasn't been proper well, there was Marco
Thank goodness.
Polo, but that's
Thank
an inside
goodness.
thing.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness there hasn't been Monkey Butler.
We need some Monkey Butler.
So this is where I put a call out there to our listeners. Send us your send your money.
Monkey
Yes,
Butler moments.
no, your money. But
Send
your
me
calendar
LS
events.
parts,
Mhm.
new axles, gear for my Jeep. Oh, and feedback on the podcast.
There we
Throw
go.
that in there.
There we go. But no, get us to your events
Pictures of your
so we
shop.
can have it on our calendar. And, I think it's important for us to share what our listeners are doing and planning on doing. So get that calendar out there so we can do that. Now, Bill did allude to send us your money. We have a Patreon. Go to your Patreon and support us. That helps us pay all the subscription fees that we have to do and running the podcast. I literally just got a bill today or it came out of my account today. That's no fun. But in the news.
In the news.
I wish we had a cool little song going there. Maybe I'll work on that.
Billy wants a button to push.
Mhm.
I'm not letting Billy push buttons.
Wait, that would be cool. We get buttons on the screen, then I get just.
We gotta
Yeah.
up this. We gotta up this web interface. I'm telling
That's
you.
right.
Yep.
The Super Bowl commercial kind of showed it a little bit, but the 2025 Jeep Recon EV is inching closer to production, and there's been undisguised prototypes out there. Any thoughts?
All I know is Harrison Ford was driving it and he looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harrison Ford was the highlight of the.
The commercial.
I don't know. I'm not super positive on the design of. If this is the prototype and it's close,
Yeah.
it looks a little too Bronco-y for me. If I wanted a boxy Bronco, I'd get one. Not that a Jeep isn't boxy enough, but different kind of boxy. If you get my drift.
I think it was kind of dumb that they had the doors off.
Well, I think that's just it. It's
I'm trying too hard.
it's a Bronco Sport esque vehicle that
That's
has
kind of my
some
trouble with it.
Wrangler things.
Oh, I
to
got
it.
more of the impression like a Grand Wagoneer that they just hack the doors off of. I'm like,
No, it's much smaller than that, and it does
Grand
have
Wagoneer's
actual
longer.
yeah, and it has actual off road capabilities. Not
mm.
a solid axle, but off road capabilities, but
I think it's independent all-wheel drive or independent front and rear.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, if is it independent front solid back? Because that's kind of the Broncos setup. Is you get
No, I thought it was.
this
I'm not sure, but I thought it was supposed to be independent front and rear.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's what I know. A lot of people that I've talked to. I've got several friends, including my in-laws, that have a Bronco, and they've. I've even had a couple of those friends were former Jeepers, and they're like, I got really tired of getting my fillings knocked out, driving this thing. And they're like, oh, it's so much more comfortable. And, to some degree it is. Certainly driving down the road around the town, things like that. Um, but at least that setup is independent front with a solid back. I don't know if this thing goes all independent,
Well, it's going to drive like a
how,
sedan.
yeah, it's kind of I don't know. I think I got a fact check on that one.
so it's going to come in three trim levels. Sources say the first is the Willis Edition, then an Overland, and then the Moab. And it seems like that's you know gladiator esque speak
Right.
on those trim levels. But I until I drive one and see, I'm not going to really post too much judgment. But it is a hard top scenario where it doesn't have a removable top per se. And then to take the doors off, and I think you alluded to it earlier, Bill, that it just didn't. It felt like it was trying too hard,
Yeah.
and I almost feel that way with like Wrangler drivers that have their hard top on and will take the front doors off, or
Or just
or
one
or
door.
oh, I've seen that. Yeah,
One. Just the
Just
driver
one.
door.
yeah.
Three
I'm gonna
others
take
on.
the no. I'm taking the rear passenger off. Just I'm gonna drive around like that.
Yeah.
I will tell you something though, in terms of the electric platform and 2020, 5 stuff. In the same news vein that they've been talking about this Recon EV is the Wagoneer S. Um, Now again, that's its own little varietal, but that one seems quite interesting. But it's its own thing. It's not trying to be. It's not trying to be. Wrangler. It's trying to just be its own identity, which I'm okay with. And I guess that's maybe my trouble, Terry, with this Recon thing is I don't know exactly how much original DNA it's trying to hold on to versus just trying to be its own thing.
So my thoughts is the Cherokee went away, stopped production on the Cherokee,
In
and
this country.
right, and the Cherokee Trailhawk was actually a very capable vehicle, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
this is trying to fill that gap with an electric vehicle, and Jeep's proven itself with the electrical vehicle. The Magneto 3.0 is no slouch. I mean, it's you know 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds on 40s. But I again, I'm going to hold judgment until I actually drive one or
Yeah.
get to take it out or play with it. But for me, it doesn't look like a vehicle that I would want. Maybe if I didn't have a Wrangler already and wanted to dip my toe into it and not go full in, but most of the people want a
I,
Wrangler want to jump in all the way.
Hmm.
yeah. The thing that I think I've seen a lot of with some conversations recently is there's there's two people friends of friends that I met, and both of them have Jeeps, and we got into talking about it. And there are two people that were at different points in their journey, kind of keying off what you said there, Terry. And what it got me thinking about is do you want the Wrangler in the package that we know and we often talk about and we focus on with ourselves and many of our colleagues, uh, dual solid axles, very off road capable, very off road focused. even in its most stock form, much less you put a couple grand in it. It's amazing. And then there's the other Jeep varietals that smell of the same DNA, but are much more comfortable and creature comfortable in top interior. I'm just punching up as I'm rattling this off and looking at that Wagoneer S, and the inside is like this very lush, environment that the Wagoneer is, but at the same rate, you're coming with, a 67 to $72,000 vehicle, and you're not going to drag that thing over the rocks.
No,
I beg to differ. I guarantee somebody's
I
going
beg
to
to
drag
differ.
that shit
I'm
across
winning the
rocks.
lottery. I'm dragging it over the rocks.
It doesn't matter, dude. I have seen people bring a rental truck out to Roush Creek and drag it up and down the trails and then take it back.
Didn't your buddy bring an S10 or something like that?
We've brought everything to the trails. So, guys in a Raptor R. He's like, oh, I drove off the lot 3 days ago. Oh, cool. By the end of the day, he ripped off a side step, a front bumper, a mirror, and like cracked the tail
It's
light.
going to cost you.
And he's like, I had the best time ever.
yeah, that's just it. I've
Hey,
wheeled with those
good.
Cherokee Trailhawks, and they're you have to spot them through everything because they lack a lot of clearance, but
They're three-wheeling constantly.
constantly. But those the transmission and gearing in that it's actually really good, and
That's super comfortable.
yeah.
That's the thing. That is what I will tell you right now. My 2017 Chief,
Yeah,
like, that's
you
got
got your
that
speed
5-speed
meters
auto
on,
in
you
it.
got your full entertainment system, you got your kids in the
Yeah.
back watching a video on the TV screens, your wife's like doing her makeup in the passenger
Right.
seat, and in the back you got your fridge freezer with your cold things
Yeah.
and
This
everything
thing's got
else.
more power outlets than my kitchen. Come on.
Exactly. But you know what? It's a family event.
But that's the key word. Event wasn't it. It's, and I just recently, this past weekend, last couple of days, I was up in Vermont with my family on a ski trip. Um, and, for that particular event, I was taking the crap wagon. Everybody knows I've got the 4 Jeeps and the vehicle I can't get rid of. Why? Because I can pack a family of 5, all the gear, all the stuff. And by the way, it drives comfortably at 20 and 24, 25 miles to a gallon. I think we see that from some of the other varieties that are out there. I think the EVs, back to kind of our reground us in our topic here.
Mhm.
I think the EVs are trying to bring that into the Jeep universe. We saw that with the 4xe, 4xe, depending how you want to say it. And now we've got 2 more varieties out there, and I guess we'll see how they do. And as you put it, Terry, judgment comes from driving one.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think they're going to. I think it's going to be 2 different markets that they're looking for, and it's just a win-win for everybody. I think. Is it? Maybe it's not the diehards like us that are going to buy this. Maybe it's the people that want to have that feeling of the freedom of owning a Jeep without having to give up. Definitely IFS is going to be better on the road than what we drive, but
For
and
sure.
I don't know. I think it's a good looking vehicle, to be honest.
Your
It's
grandmother's Cadillac drove better than our Jeeps.
100%.
Like, it's not
A
hard to
bit, a
drive
little
better than.
boaty. A
Yeah,
little
right.
boaty.
Yeah. So that's the new Recon, and as information comes out, we'll dive into it a little bit deeper. I thought the Super Bowl commercial was great, focused in on the 4xe, and the freedom of it. I thought Harrison Ford, I think he's 80 years old, and
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is still kicking everybody's ass.
That's true.
I thought it was great. All right, and I think this is a topic we
Hell,
keep.
the halftime performance kicked the Chiefs' ass in rushing yards, so that wasn't hard.
No, oh, let's not piss off half our listeners that are Chiefs fans.
Nah, it's fine. They know we're in each
That's everybody
country.
outside the Philadelphia region.
That's right. That's right. All
I
right.
did hear this is a fun fact though. Speaking about this is kind of on the other side of it, but the betting side. So Pennsylvania playbooks were down $6.4 million after the Super Bowl. However, the New York playbooks were up because everyone in New York City bet against the Eagles, and we still
course they did.
on it.
Oh my God.
That would be typical.
Yeah.
So fun
Ah,
facts
well.
for everyone out there. Heard that one on the radio.
Nice. All right, so somebody's got their recon out there. No clearance, IFS. You know they've got one wheel up in the air. We've got to get them out of there. Tonight's topic is all about recovery and bringing that recon home. So
I hope it just has recovery points.
that's exactly. Well, it does.
Because
it
to
does.
start the recovery, you need recovery points.
And you and I put in here, actual recovery and stories. And I remember one of the first times you and I went out together. We're out with a bunch of your friends, and
Why do they? Why did we?
why did I
My
have to
buddy-
bring this?
Buddy was in his underwear, waist deep in mud, trying to find a recovery point around the axle for my other buddy's Cherokee that he sunk in a mud puddle.
Yeah, I mean, we had the
my
conversation
God.
before we went out. Does that thing have toe points? Oh yeah, sure it does.
Yeah,
Sure, it's got an axle.
Well, it had a recovery point on the back of the vehicle, but everyone's
'cause
vehicle
that's
was in
helpful.
front of it.
Front of it, yeah.
So, needless to say, we couldn't recover from behind it
Oh,
until we
Yeah.
got him over a little bit. And then I had a flat tire, and it was one thing after the next. It was a
That
shit
was-
show.
that was definitely a shit show, and that XJ, it was just. Well, first you had come around and basically told everybody, "Hey, go on the left side."
Go left side.
Yeah, because
Go left.
and the vehicle with the least amount of clearance went right and bogged down,
And then proceed to back up and hit it again.
yeah.
Send it.
Well, then we got your tire changed. We got them out.
We got halfway up the hill, and it died.
The electricity was knocked out from all the water, or at least that's what
It was
I
a crank sensor.
was. Was that just a sensor?
Oh, was
It was a
that
crank
that
sensor.
story about the infamous crank sensor?
Yeah, they went back up, they had to tow it home. Eventually, they got it back, and then all of a sudden, it was just a crank sensor.
Yeah, you and I basically towed that thing out. You in the front, me in the back. I was the brakes. You were the
Yeah.
pulling. So that was a perfect example of making sure you had tools to take care of that. So let's talk about
Proper preparation.
yeah, what should you have in your vehicle, or there's two schools of thought. Just go out and buy a full kit, straight up. You don't have to assemble anything, or you can build your own kit. Let's, for the moment, assume that
real
you're going to
quick,
build your
Terry,
own.
I think I want to say like something. If you're a newbie and you have nothing, I think it's a great recommendation to go out and buy one of those starter kits. Gets you off the ground. It gives you usually a toe strap, a couple,
Something.
D-rings, 2 D-rings, and, some other smaller things, a tree saver. They're great to get you started until you figure out what you actually need.
Yeah.
So that's a great recommendation for anyone out there. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think that's 100% accurate. I mean, that's my first kit was, an entry level repair kit, and it served me fine, right?
yeah,
And my only concern with that thought is, and we've talked about this before, and we've probably more than once, is it's great. I'm not disagreeing in any way with the idea to have some basic kit. People put thoughts in those products and those offerings, but knowing how to use it safely is also critical. At the very least, some basic understanding of the don'ts. And I don't say the do's, because the do's, you could do something okay and you could do something better. But if you do a don't, like that could put you or other people, in some kind of a unsafe situation. Like you said, D rings, yeah, closed. For those that aren't familiar, it's like a closed recovery point, something where it's not slipping off a hook, something where it's not going to snap back. You start towing 8,000 to 9,000 pounds of load. That's a big rubber band.
yep,
Yeah, 100%. And I think probably the closed part of it is super important, making sure you're using the right equipment with that. But the first don't is have someone in the fray, have somebody in the middle. Don't do that. Make sure everyone's cleared out of the way, the length of the rope in a radius. Even the person doing the winching should be inside their vehicle, doing the winching. So, any kind of recovery that's, don't just have people out there, because we've actually seen videos of bad things happen.
Bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the kit idea. It's a good way to go. I know I started with that. And then sometimes you inherit a few things from folks that are upgrading. Bill, I think you gave me something because you had swapped out from one of your kits. The tree saver's key, D rings are key, soft shackles are great, super easy to use, super friendly, and those tow points. A vehicle with tow points. I ran into that in Vermont. We got snow and we got freezing rain behind it, and it was really a slippery and precarious traction condition. And my friend's vehicle, all-wheel drive vehicle, got into an embankment and just spun, couldn't get out. We were trying to get him free, and I'm looking at this not inexpensive vehicle, uh, all-wheel drive, type of four-wheel vehicle. I'm like, there is absolutely nowhere to connect to, and I'm looking around for something that's going to bear load of probably a couple of 1,000 pounds the first time you give it a little bit of a tug, and not take somebody's wheel off the hub.
yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, if you can find a frame point or something like that,
Exactly.
definitely will help. I've been, I everybody knows I'm a big dude with back problems, and getting on the ground is a challenge for me sometimes. But I have been out there and rescuing and recovering those coupes that have all-wheel drive, or somebody took their Honda Civic, to work, and ended up in snow deeper than their clearance, and I had to crawl under and find a frame point to attach to, so that I could pull them out. It's that's a real challenge, and we're all Jeepers, and everybody listening, your vehicle came with a tow point from a recovery point from the
I've
factory.
seen them rip off like butter. So I wouldn't trust that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But it
They were
is,
held on
but
by
at
two
least it's
bolts on the.
anchored in. You know, it's better than nothing,
Somewhat ain't.
and
It's
it's not a
yeah,
piece of plastic.
true.
Right.
I'm just saying. Don't
Yeah,
necessarily trust them.
Right.
yeah,
And also,
and
it goes back to another thing of it doesn't create a closed closed
right,
recovery system.
Right. Because it's
yeah.
just a hook.
A hook.
It's
Just
but
a hook.
hey, you,
It's just a hook.
just a hook.
I
But
mean,
you
it
know
does
the
have a
thing
little
that
lip on it, but
just a wee bit, just on the tip. But you know the thing that the way that we solved my friend's situation is, and that vehicle, by the way, back to our earlier conversation with the independent suspension. This had four-wheel independence, so there was no solid axle in this vehicle. Because even with, you know, if somebody had a Jeep and you weren't comfortable with the angle that that hook was at, you could, not necessarily the best, but at least you have some trust that there is a solid axle that is a fairly formidable piece of steel connected to the vehicle, which is a little bit more to say than when you have an independent uh, arm. You know, just like the I looked at this, I'm like, okay, I'm looking under there, and I'm kind of looking how it's anchored and how beefy it is. I'm like, well, we only need to kind of snug you out, but golly, if this was an off-road situation, I would never trust this in any shape or form without risking ripping a corner of the vehicle off. So I don't really know I don't know, Billy, if you have a thought of that, like, what do you do in that situation?
I mean, a lower control arm on a sedan is usually is your best bet.
Is as best you got.
Yeah, I mean, or if there's like a frame section or a cross member that you can get around. But I mean, besides that, usually sometimes there's a like a
Like a
point
tow hook or some kind of tow loop.
toe loop in the front of the vehicle. It has it held on by one bolt that's like usually enough to kind of pull you out. But
It's good for the guy towing you out of a spot to take you to the repo.
yeah, I would say I would trust the lower control arm the most.
yeah, and we're when we're talking in that scenario, we're not talking about a vehicle that weighs as much as our vehicles, or potentially has as much resistance because we've bogged down in mud, right? We're talking about maybe something that slid off the road in a snowy condition or a light
It'll
muddy
give way.
condition. Yeah, it'll give way a little bit easier. Uh, Now, when we're dealing with those, I we Jason, you and I've been out on the same trail together and needed recovery. And one of the things that I do now, as soon as I hear, "Oh, I think we need recovery," I just grab my stuff out of my vehicle before I go and investigate because
I know exactly which one. Yeah.
you
You'll go
know
up the hill and down the hill, then back up the hill to
right.
get your stuff, to then go back down the hill.
Because we had what 12 or 13 Jeeps with us,
Too
which
many.
is, and when you have the 11th Jeep needs recovered, and you're the lead Jeep, that's you're talking quarter of a mile at least in
You
trail
got your
distance,
steps
right?
in.
Yeah, for sure. But also sometimes recovery is kind of timely. It if you wait, mud could slip out, or something could roll further.
For
So
sure.
grab your bag, have your bag ready, grab it, and walk it down the trail with you when you're investigating that.
Usually, half my recovery stuff falls out the roof when I roll over, so
It's
it's
self
usually already
recovery.
out and ready to go.
It's already waiting. It
Here, let
knows.
me put this here for you, Billy. I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
Well, most of us, as a general rule, don't roll their vehicle or put it on its side, but you seem to do that on a regular basis.
Try to.
Well, you know.
All right.
But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that's I think kind of the moral of the story is, you know, try to identify a reliable recovery point, have some basic gear that you can get between a strong anchor point. I don't mean a 2-inch sapling, you know, a formidable tree, a formidable anchor point, the other vehicle, um, and something where you're not going to risk damage to yourself or others. I think
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest thing. I'd rather wait for other help, or if I'm not sure, than risking doing something that's like, you know, oh, let me be
Yeah,
a
and also
hero and something happens.
Yeah.
another thing is also make sure you're using like proper hardware. It's not rusted. Make sure the attachment
Proper
point that
load
you're going
rating.
to isn't rusted or ripping off bumpers and like I've seen weird things.
Yeah.
The bumper goes.
Yeah, I've seen
It's
it.
like, whoa,
Yeah. It's uncool. Yeah.
it's uncool.
It's uncool.
No body mods on the trail, Terry. No body
No.
mods.
No. I did a recovery on Hell's Gate in Moab, and basically we're fighting, gravity at that point because it's an incline, and you know we needed two vehicles, so one was halfway down, and that was anchored by another Jeep at the top, and so one was an intermediary vehicle that was being winched, and that vehicle was winching another vehicle up because we're talking distance now, and it was that was might be the most advanced recovery that I've been a part of. Uh,
And it gets risky as soon as you do that. I mean, think about any part of that. You've now doubled the system that's
yeah,
in play there. The good news is, you know, I'm just picturing, you know, where you're describing. It's more open. It's different than a lot of the stuff we run into with our trails in PA, where I was just showing some pictures to somebody I know that off roads in the Midwest. They're like, oh man, we have like sand and hills and stuff, but what is that?
yeah,
It's mossy rocks and junk and trees and all sorts of stuff. I go, plenty of anchor points, but a lot of things to get hung up on or slip on or shift while you're recovering. So yeah, it really depends.
yeah. We just didn't have any anchor points for that for the
You just
middle Jeep,
yeah,
if you will, right? And so the secondary Jeep became the anchor point, um, and that was a really cool experience to kind of be a part of that and see. It was a TJ that was basically on its side. Well, actually, no, it was on its lid, halfway up, Hell's Gate. And first, you got to get it rolled over the right way, and then pulled up, and that a vehicle actually drove out of there. It was it was insane.
Well, what else are you gonna do, Terry?
Have Matt's
Just bring
bring a
a
recovery, have
trailer.
Matt's recovery come out and pull you all the way to.
bring a trailer.
Yep. All right. So, what are the contents that a good bag should have? So you're
Stuff.
building
Billy's
you're
phone
building
number.
you're building your own. You've
Matt's off-road recovery.
just go ahead and embroider the phone number right there on the bag. Um,
No, I mean like you want a general 30-foot strap. You need some You need a tree saver. You need some type of D-ring or soft shackle to attach. I mean, if you know how to
Call it
use
two of them.
a snatch block, gloves, first aid kit, and it's general stuff you need in your recovery.
Damper, ideally, and some of the kits come with it just to put over a long winch line.
Mm-hmm.
yep. Some sort of jacket can work in that case, but it's
Yeah.
get a dampener.
Something just
Spend the
it
yeah.
it's amazing how much that just stops if something goes sideways.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stops that whip from becoming a killer.
I mean, some of the more advanced things, you could have a winch line extension. You could have um, multi-directional pull devices. But you're getting
more
into
than
some
one
serious,
snatch block.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, when we go out, or maybe there's 6 of us that go out together, on our Friday trip before our camping trip. We each have a well stocked, recovery kit. So if we needed, multiple snatch blocks, it's readily available. Whereas if somebody's a beginner, maybe they don't have everything, but get. Well, I'll put it in the show notes the stuff, but literally just go on to Google search recovery gear, and there'll be 15 or 20 kits that you can look at and kind of determine, here are the contents that you need. Do you want to build your own, or do you want to buy? But yeah, for me, I bought and then I added on and
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of.
Factor 55 has a couple good starter kits.
Mhm.
Warren has a starter kit. There's other ones out there.
Yeah.
So
So make sure
Yep.
you do a little bit of research. It, I don't want to, without saying this, don't go into Amazon and just buy a recovery kit. Do a little
No.
bit of research. There are brands made here in the U.S. that really test their stuff. I know, Billy, in your previous engineering position, you did a lot of testing on equipment, and the process, and that these companies have gone through those processes so that you can feel comfortable using it. Right?
Yeah, and the companies that release the information and tell you what your working loads and your brake strengths and everything of that sort, and even show you videos of them breaking products, is definitely worth trusting them. Like it's hard to fake numbers like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so I trust it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to kind of close this loop, if you will. If you have doubt on a piece of gear that you've used or whatever, throw it out. If you see a little bit of fraying, throw it out. Or, you see something starting to fray. If you know how to do a repair on winch line, do it. But when in doubt, throw it out, because the worst thing you could have is for a piece of equipment fail. I'd rather not have the piece of equipment than it to fail,
Right.
for risk of injury or whatever.
It's
So
not the thing you want failing.
no, throw it out, order a new, be done with it. Any final words on that?
Stay clear,
From me.
stay safe. If you don't know, call somebody that does,
Yeah, for sure.
and that's from our lawyers. So
That's right. We have not demonstrated proper technique, so do not follow what we do unless you're out on
Nope.
the trail with us, and then we'll show you.
And like, if you do want to learn the proper way to recover vehicles and the proper way to do things, there are people out there. We can personally recommend Kyle Buchter up in AOAA. He's off-road consulting. He's certified and probably has written the book on off-road recovery for a lot of different agencies out there. His time is very valuable, so you got to book it well in advance. But he has off-road courses. He has different styles of things out there, and he isn't giving us anything to say this, and we're just good friends, and we recommend them out there. So
Yeah, I don't know. There's maybe 2 people I would trust as much as Kyle on the planet. He's the real deal.
Yep.
All right. As normal, break it, Billy. Where can people find us?
You know where you can find us. You're already watching us, so tell a friend and show them that you can find us on any social media platform: Instagram, Facebook, Jeep Life Pod, or Jeep Life Podcast. We have a YouTube channel where we release content, and you can watch our lives. as well as on Facebook and every major social listening platform as well.
Well, I know it's been a hot minute since we've out. This is a great start to season 6. More content to come. Stay tuned because it's going to get real interesting this season, and we're going to have a blast. Everybody, I want to thank our friends over at Globex Performance for sponsoring this episode, and I think the next few episodes coming out. If you're in the New Jersey area and you need work done on your vehicle, go see those guys. They're great. Tell them I sent you. They may laugh at you and throw things at you, but they'll take good care of you.
No,
Anyway.
That's just what they do to you, Terry.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was going to say, they treat everybody else with amazing respect.
I've actually seen it, and yet they throw things. No, they give out hugs, so they're good people. Anyway, for Breakabilly, Jetty Jason, I'm Jeep and Terry, and here's a big Jeep wave to you, everybody. This is weird.
It's this way, Terry. That way.
I feel like we should have a
driving, and you can give it the.
All right, see you, everybody.
All right, people.